How many tattoos do you have?
Over 40. Just got a brand new one. Let me see if I can show you. It's a little wrapped up right now, but it's a little bloody too. But it's a sad
clown. Yeah.
40? Yeah, over 40. I counted not too long ago. It's kind of hard to keep track now. It might be even 50 now. I'm not really sure.
So tell me about this song. What is Shut Up a song to someone or something? I was trying to figure it out.
It's a song to somebody, but you know, it's really relatable and very real and personal to me, but there's also some parts that are a little elaborated, you know, for poetic reasons, for music writing and
right.
And stuff like that. But for the most part, it's about me and my ex. I guess it's a little bit shut up to her and to myself. I got sober in quarantine, just to break some bad habits that I've had since I was a kid, you know, smoking, drinking. And so I was full on sober for about 5 months and just really trying to take care of myself. And I was meditating every day and praying, and not to anything religious, just like a higher power, and just feeling like something bigger than me in the world. And I was taking care of myself and being there for a lot of other people. And it was really interesting. But normally when I'm depressed, I would just turn to any sort of pot, substance, you know, anything, and just kind of try to numb myself that way. And my ex and I had been broken up for a little bit. I was telling her that I was sober and my life in sobriety and how that was going. And we started talking a little bit more, and it just sort of kind of got back to a place that reminded me why we broke up in the first place. And it kind of depressed me. And it was the first time I was depressed without any substances to look to, you know, and I really wanted to stick sober, at least just try it out for a while. And I really had to like kind of sit with that uncomfortable feeling. And so that's basically what the song is about. The song it's a culmination of like a couple of years of substance abuse, me with this girl and our relationship, and kind of experiencing what it's like to be sort of depressed without being able to, you know, find any substances to kind of curb that, you know? So it's a pretty personal song, and it's like powerful. And when I first started writing it, I was on a trip with my friend and my dogs in an RV in Arizona. And I brought my guitar with me, and I started writing the song. And as it was coming out, I was like, wow, this feels really like this could be a good big song. And now it's on the radio, and you know, it's just like it was one of those moments where like it felt right from like the starting point, you know.
Wow. How's your sobriety these days? How are you doing?
So when I first got sober, I definitely really wanted to like break these habits that I had. Yeah. And so that was most of it, because I never really considered myself an alcoholic. There was moments of substance abuse that I felt like I had kind of control over, but there was a moment where it got a little scary, and I felt like I needed some help, and definitely wanted to, you know, not be this kind of, I just always viewed myself as a lazy pothead, you know. This is on top of that, you know, pot's kind of like the easy one, or I don't know.
Right.
So I didn't know how long I wanted to be sober. I've since started coming back into the other world, the other side of things. So I'm not technically not sober anymore, but I keep in touch with everybody. But it's definitely not, you know, anywhere near what I was. I learned a lot about myself.
How tough was it? You know, you're on a show like Teen Wolf. I mean, listen, I remember I was there from day one. You guys shot to fame, you know, we'll use the cliche, overnight. How difficult was it knowing that, you know, you're going home, you're smoking weed, you're partying, you're getting into trouble, and all these kids, all these young people are looking at you, and you're being called role models? How much did that play with you?
Yeah, it was definitely weird, because it sort of made me question who I was and who I wanted to portray myself to the world. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what version of myself I wanted the world to see. And because like MTV they didn't force us to get Instagrams or social media, but they were like, hey guys, we'd like you to get some Twitters, and you know, and like, what is that? And so we learned how to Twitter, and I'm very much unfiltered, and it's kind of hard for me to be anybody else other than myself. But then there were moments when I would like show a little bit too much, where I was like smoking weed, and I would like take a picture of it, and my managers would like come back at me. They're like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to post this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was not that bad. So it was a little, the hardest part about it was just kind of finding my place in it. But then, you know, I figured out that, like, you know, there's a certain demographic that follows me, and I don't necessarily need to cater to them, but I should probably not, you know, there's a time and place for everything, and I don't need to post stupid shit of me getting stoned or anything like that. Kind of like a bragging thing. It's like, look at me, I'm smoking a bong.
Right.
So there was a bit of a learning curve for sure. But the real substance abuse and all that kind of stuff started pretty recently. You know, it was about maybe 2 years ago when Teen Wolf was already kind of over and I wasn't posting as much. And so it was easier for me to fall into this hole because I wasn't so active and kind of showing my personal life. You know, it was easier for me to just be like, okay, I'm going to take a break from the world, you know? So,
of course, I have to ask you about OnlyFans.
So OnlyFans is a trip for me. Bella is my friend through the whole entire thing. She kind of helped me get into it. And she hit me up one time after I posted some pictures. She's like, this is more skin than you need to post on OnlyFans. Call me. It's also been like a big experiment for me because I've never been a model my entire life. I've always been uncomfortable, a little nervous. Just felt that, like, I felt icky modeling. You know, it's this weird vibe of just like having to pose for this camera, and I just never connected with it. And so it's a little bit of me kind of stepping out of that box and out of my comfort zone and trying new things. Plus it also gave me a really good platform to be really open about my sexuality. And that's where I really figured out why I like OnlyFans so much, is because it's everything under the umbrella that I love. It's being really in contact with my fans, releasing creative new content that people don't see anywhere else, and being really open about anything, you know, whether it's sexuality or drug abuse or, you know, anything. That's where I really found my footing, I feel like. And I think it was on my birthday, I did this live on OnlyFans, and they were asking me, you know, stuff that like horny people would ask you. Have you ever been with a man? Have you been with the opposite sex? What was it like? Blah, blah, blah. And I was just being honest about it because no one's ever asked me that before. And it's not like I wanted to hide it, but I just had never been asked that. I never found the proper time to kind of bring it up. Not like I was looking for a proper time to bring it up, but I was like, fuck it. Yeah, sure. I have done all that stuff before. And it was received kind of well. And I did not even, it was just such a split second decision. I didn't think about how it would be received or what kind of press I would get on it. But I woke up the next day and there was like all these tabloids about like me kind of sort of coming out as pansexual. And even though I didn't label that, the fans or whoever wrote those articles labeled that.
The kids.
Is that. But I thought that was really interesting, that like, it just kind of broke down this sort of wall that I didn't feel like I put up, but it was easier for me to sort of kind of just be honest about all that stuff.
When you talk about your sexuality, going back to those days with, you know, earlier managers who were telling you, don't smoke weed, hide your tattoos, were they also saying, don't be open about anything you like sexually, unless it's hetero, cisgender, white, so on and so forth?
So there wasn't anything too crazy that came up that would warrant that sort of response from them. I did have some leaked footage of me online a little while ago that was my fault, but it did sort of show the world that I am this sort of sexual, I don't want to say deviant, but you know, there's a that is definitely not on the surface of what you normally see, you know? And so they did come to me for that a little bit, which is understandable. You know, I had some stuff leaked online, probably isn't favorable, but I didn't release an apology about it. And that made it easier for people to forget about. You know, I didn't bring attention to it. They wanted me to. They definitely wanted me to say like, look, I'm sorry. I'm ashamed of myself, which I wasn't, and I wasn't sorry. And so I didn't want to say that.
And how gratifying is it to hear from young people that say, you know, not into the graphic details of it all, but it's like, thanks for being you.
And a lot of them started after I came out about that, and they were talking about like being gay themselves and not knowing how to come out to their parents and feeling overwhelmed at school. And so I started talking to a lot of them, and I convinced one of them to go to school. Like they're in college now, and they're having a great time. And
oh wow,
there's been some really, really nice, like chill inducing, like I get the chills thinking about this. There's been some really good feedback from that, and just kind of really being able to connect with kids my age or a little bit younger, and just kind of showing them that like, hey, look, I'm kind of going through some similar stuff too. And like my dad called me the next day after all this came out. I'd never told him anything about this stuff, and he called me, hey buddy, just making sure you're okay. I don't want you to get overwhelmed or stressed out. But he was totally cool about it. And I was like, yeah, man, I just wanted to like, I just didn't want to hold myself back, and I had an interest in trying new things. And he was like, okay, well, I understand that. So unfortunately, that was awesome.
Great.
So when are we going to see the Teen Wolf reunion? I talked to Dylan O'Brien. He said he'd be up for it. He's into it.
Did he?
Yeah. Would you do it?
Absolutely. Oh my God. So there was like this Zoom reunion that we did maybe a year ago, and I was instrumental in making that happen. And so I'm always down. I've been like coming up with concepts in my head for the last few years, texting them to Jeff Davis.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, we need to do this idea. So I'm a huge advocate of bringing Teen Wolf back.